I do not own Star Trek, or any of the related characters. Star Trek is a mark owned by Paramount. This story is a work of fanfiction and is for entertainment only. I am not making profit from this story. This is a tribute. All rights of Star Trek belong to Paramount. This fanfiction takes place between the second and third movies of the Kelvinverse.
Star Trek Reloaded, Chapter 9. The Horses Move. The news increased concerns. The Kobayashi Maru found itself running out of energy and, to make matters worse, she would have had to reach an area of the quadrant that was already dangerous in peacetime, deadly in war. Kirk found himself momentarily undecided about the next action, until Uhura alarmed him further.
Captain, message from a starship approaching at Warp 5.
On the screen, Lieutenant, but don't let them see us.
After seconds of static, the firm, authoritative face of a man appeared on the visor. Kirk recognized the uniform of the Earth's fleet and, after a few seconds, also the person wearing it. He was a well-known figure who had made history.
I am Admiral Jonathan Archer, captain of the NX-01A of the United Planets Coalition. You are in Earth space. Please identify yourselves.
The Kobayashi Maru was moving away from the solar system quickly, but not as fast as Kirk would have liked.
This is the engine room. Captain, the dilithium crystals will run out quickly if we don't replace them.
Scott's voice did not hide alarm and nervousness.
I advise not to go beyond Warp 7. This should allow us enough autonomy to reach the Darren system.
The first officer quickly showed an information card on the service monitors.
On Darren 6, dilithium mines are active even in this era. It shouldn't be difficult to bargain for some with the settlers.
Chekhov turned his head towards the captain.
Sir, Archer Sun X-01A cannot exceed Warp 5.9, we will easily lose it.
No.
The voice of the elder Spock did not allow any replies.
It is illogical. Recovering dilithium will take us days. We must avoid any contact with the people of this time.
Well, Archer is crazy about getting to know us.
I know, Doctor.
The ambassador studied his monitor.
But they are too far away to be able to scan us. We are just an anonymous warp trace on their radar. Let's speed up and outrun them, then.
Spock looked at his future self perplexed. The elderly Vulcan shook his head decisively and turned to Kirk.
Captain, we must keep them at a constant distance and not lose sight of them. They are our only hope.
Admiral Archer watched the monitor with concern and curiosity. The NX-01A Enterprise had been at maximum warp for almost an hour and worrying messages began to arrive from the engine room.
Admiral, we won't be able to maintain this speed for much longer.
Chief Engineer Reginald Bigelow was on the intercom.
In no more than 50 minutes the system will go into self-preservation and we'll find ourselves on impulse. We have to slow down, of course.
It maintains a constant distance, adapts to our speed with every slight variation, and is constantly just beyond the limit of the sensors.
Admiral, do you think it could be some kind of reflex?
Lieutenant Commander Mayweather at the helm ventured, in response to the thoughts expressed aloud by Archer. Getting up from his chair, the Admiral shook his head slightly and pointed a finger at the screen.
No, and I don't think that's what they want us to believe. If they wanted, they would have already disappeared from our hyper radars. No, it's something else, and I need to understand what it is.
Hey, up there!
Dr. Phlox's alien accent made its way through the service communications, unfortunately accompanied by the video of the caller.
You've been taking all the energy from my laboratory for a while now. Do you know that you're about to kill a colony of Colossian bacteria? That would be a crime, especially for my yogurt production.
Archer looked disconsolately at the denobulin, completely naked, as often.
Doctor, we will do everything we can, and please turn off the video and leave us alone.
Phlox barely had time to put on his version of facial expressions expressing disappointment, when the line was interrupted by the intervention of Chief Warrant Officer 5 Sato, the communications officer and linguist. The Admiral sat down again and rested face-palm.
Doctors?
Steal their dilithium?
Young Spock was beyond perplexed.
I don't see how that's possible without a direct assault, and that doesn't seem to be a good idea.
The elderly ambassador looked at him with disapproval.
It's absolutely feasible. We teleport to their engine room, track the dilithium and we hook it up and then…
Kirk raised his right hand, stopping the discussion and expressing indisputable right to have the floor.
Spock, gentleman Spock. We're talking about warp teleportation. I don't see how it's possible. Engineer Scott's device was seized by the Federation, right? We don't have anything like that on board.
Quickly, he opened a direct channel to the engine room.
Scotty, I guess you heard. We can't do this, can we?
Preceded by a strange sob, the Scotsman replied,
Let's say that, even though I was forbidden to do so. I spent a couple of hours on Teleporter 4 on our way to and from New Vulcan.
I actually noticed it.
The ambassador opened his arms towards the interlocutors. Captain Kirk stifled a curse, only to immediately show off a full and reassuring smile.
It can work, it can work. With that infernal tool we can send someone on that ship.
Why not just teleport the dilithium from them to us?
The young Vulcan replied with a smug tone to Uhura's question.
At warp, we can teleport from our ship to theirs without problems, but we are not able to do the opposite if we don't first trace on sight what we want to take. It's obvious.
Uhura smiled, already planning how to get back at that arrogant fool of her unusual boyfriend.
I'm going to Transporter 4, let me find a tracker and let's do it within 5 minutes.
Kirk was already heading towards the turbolift.
Spock. First Officer Spock, you are in command of the ship and…
Let's not talk about it, Jim. You serve here. I'll go.
The ambassador was very firm in his decision and a brief discussion ensued, which saw the entire crew volunteering.
Maybe you forget that we are not in a democracy.
Kirk placed hands on his hips, deliberately exaggerating that ridiculous posture, as if to play down the drama.
I'm the captain and I'm going on a mission, no more talk.
The elderly Vulcan allowed himself a smile again.
Captain. Technically I have the rank of Fleet Admiral and I have never given it back.
Jim looked disconcerted for a moment and was preparing to respond, when another voice joined in the diatribe, someone who had just exited the turbolift.
Gentlemen, my work on the photon torpedo is finished and all the instructions are on the computer. I'm the most expendable element in the economy of this ship. There's no point in anyone else doing it.
Logical, Commander Notby, absolutely faultless. Congratulations. You sometimes don't seem human.
Kirk was about to explode listening to the Spock's complacency, but he had to recognize in his heart that Notby was right.
Captain. Thank you. Get ready for the transporter room with Scott. Let's do it and let's do it quickly.
To recap,
Scott was very agitated.
You will find yourself in the engine room and you know the plan. All you have to do is point the illuminator at these red tanks.
Some photos appeared on the small monitor in the teleportation room.
And within 2 seconds we'll track them and load them on board and…
And the moment you attach the crystal tanks the ship will exit warp.
The engineer shook his head strongly.
Yes. But we will still have your trace for several milliseconds, and we will have time to bring you home.
Scott spent every ounce of his ability to appear calm and confident, without too much success in the eyes of Notby, who avoided letting him notice by showing off a big smile.